I gave them $22,000 for the wedding, then got a message. Please come without your wife. I smiled, left the group chat, and stayed home. I didn't crash the wedding. The cake did that for me. Then I got 143 missed calls from almost every guest. Please come without your wife. That was the message. No hello. No explanation. No attempt to sugarcoat the slap. Just 5 cold words sitting in the family group chat like they meant nothing. Like my wife was disposable. Like I was too. I read the message 3 times, thinking maybe I misread it. Maybe autocorrect had played a sick joke. But no. It was clear. Please come without your wife. No punctuation. No context. Just that. I put my phone down on the kitchen counter. My hands weren't shaking. I wasn't even angry. Just very, very still. Caroline came in from the living room, cradling her tea. You look like someone died. I didn't say anything. Just handed her the phone. She read the message in silence. Her lips tightened. No tears. No drama. Just silence. Well, she said after a moment. They finally said it out loud. I nodded. What are you going to do? I opened the group chat. Layla and Tyler's wedding dream team scrolled all the way down and tapped leave chat. I'm doing exactly what they asked, I said calmly. I'm not bringing you. Her eyes searched my face. You're going without me? No, I said. We're not going. She exhaled and looked away for a second. I knew it would come to this. I just didn't think they'd actually put it in writing. Neither did I. For months, I'd been the wallet with no opinion. Layla cried on FaceTime about how expensive everything was, and of course, everyone looked at me. You've always been the responsible one, Mom said. She's your sister, Dad added. She's never asked for anything before. They all lied. So I paid. The venue. The flowers. The photo booth. The charcuterie wall. Even the cake. Especially the cake. 7 tiers. Custom. Imported icing. The kind of cake that costs more than rent. They took my money with smiles on their faces and then told me my wife wasn't welcome. For what? Because she doesn't laugh at Layla's jokes? Because she doesn't play the fake perfect daughter-in-law game? Because she once asked Tyler, do you even like Layla, or are you just afraid of her? At a dinner party. Yeah, that one probably did it. But Caroline never said a word. She just stood there holding the phone, her jaw clenched, eyes dry. She looked at me. Really looked. I knew you'd pick me, she said. But it still hurts. I nodded. We'll stay home. Then I smiled. But I'm still contributing to the wedding. She raised an eyebrow. You already gave them 22 grand. I did, I said. But there's one item I quietly revised. The wedding happened. Oh, it happened. It was glamorous. Instagram ready. Platinum accents, live quartet, guests dressed in cream and blush tones like it was a Vogue spread. Layla beamed in every photo. Tyler looked appropriately miserable. My parents smiled like they'd raised royalty. Everything was perfect. Until the moment the waiter rolled in the cake. And that's when it started. The calls. 1. Then 3. Then 20. Then 75 missed calls. All in the span of 2 hours. From Mom. From Layla. From Tyler. Even Aunt Martha, who once called me cheap for bringing store-bought wine to Christmas. I didn't pick up. I just sat on the couch, poured myself a drink, clinked it lightly against Caroline's glass, and said, Happy wedding day, Layla. $22,000, I muttered, scrolling through my banking app again. Caroline looked up from her laptop. Still checking. I turned the screen toward her. Just making sure I actually paid for all this delusion. The final invoice from Lasciato Weddings and Events was still sitting in my inbox. $22,480. That didn't include the extra $350 for the emergency peony rescheduling or the veil styling technician Layla had to have because the first one gave off discount energy. I had paid for everything. And the deeper I thought about it, the more furious I got, not because of the money, but because of how easy it was for them to take it. It didn't start with the wedding. No, this started years ago. The moment I got a decent job after college, my parents slid me into the responsible one category, which in our family meant banker, fixer, therapist, mover, accountant, and sometimes babysitter. And Layla? Layla was the sensitive one, which meant manipulator, professional victim, and black belt in crocodile tears. You're the stable one, Mom always said, like it was a compliment. Layla's not built like you, Dad added. She's more emotional. Right. Emotional. Like the time she crashed her car texting and driving, then blamed the sun glare, and I paid for the deductible. Or when she got fired for creative differences, and I helped her through the rough patch, meaning I covered her rent for 4 months. Or when she decided she wanted to start her own business, which meant I built her Etsy page and bought her overpriced, hand-glued wine glasses for inventory. Every time she failed, I was the safety net. And every time I helped, she failed harder. And Caroline? She saw it from day one. They don't respect you, she told me one night, after Layla had sent me a Venmo request labeled, just a little emergency. She's family, I said. It's not a big deal. Caroline looked at me like I'd grown a second head. It's not a big deal this time. It's never a big deal until you wake up and realize you're broke and alone. She wasn't wrong, but she was patient. God, she was patient. She smiled through every dinner where my mother made passive-aggressive comments about her outfit. She endured Layla's fake smile insults like, "You're so lucky he doesn't care about status," or, "It's cute how low-key you are." She held my hand under the table while Dad made another speech about how we all need to be there for Layla during this transition in her life. Caroline never once lashed out, never caused a scene, never gave them what they wanted because they wanted her to lose it, to give them a reason to hate her publicly. But she didn't. So they got more creative. When the wedding planning started, I was accidentally left out of most conversations. Layla always sent messages like, "Oh, sorry. We figured you were busy with work, so we just made a few quick decisions. Quick decisions that cost me thousands. We decided on the champagne fountain. We locked in the fire dancers for the after-party. We're doing a 7-tier cake with gold leaf and imported orchids. And who signed the checks? Right. Me. But there was one moment, the moment, when I snapped. Not out loud. Quietly. Dead silent. It was 3 weeks before the wedding. We were at my parents' house for dinner. Caroline and I arrived with a bottle of wine and a small gift for Layla, a hand-embroidered silk robe from a boutique she loved. A peace offering, maybe. A gesture. Layla opened it and forced a smile. "Oh," she said, ice cold. "Thanks. I already have 2 of these. But okay." Then she leaned over and muttered, "At least you're good for something, I guess." Caroline heard it. I felt her freeze next to me. Her fingers curled slightly around her wine glass, but she didn't say a word. I did. I stood up. Everyone went silent. "Excuse me," I said, placing my napkin on the table. "Where are you going?" Mom asked. "Out," I said. "For air." I left through the front door and sat in the car for an hour. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat in my office, lights off, scrolling through receipts, invoices, screenshots. And then I opened the cake design file. Layla had emailed it to me directly. "Make sure this is confirmed by Friday. And please, and no changes. I want this cake to be timeless. Soft ivory, gold trim, sugar roses, subtle elegance. Think Meghan Markle meets Versailles." I stared at it. Then I picked up the phone, and I called the bakery. The owner remembered me immediately. After all, I paid up front. "Hi," I said calmly. "I need to make a small adjustment." I didn't tell Caroline. Not at first. Not until the night before the wedding, when she caught me smirking into my glass of bourbon. "What did you do?" she asked, suspicious. I raised an eyebrow. "Who says I did anything?" "You only smile like that when you're hiding fire," she said. I laughed softly and kissed her forehead. "Let's just say, tomorrow's dessert will be unforgettable." The ballroom shimmered under soft gold light. Layla's dress glowed under chandeliers like it was stitched from stars. Tyler smiled his dead-eyed smile. Champagne sparkled. Strings played. Phones filmed. It was perfect. Too perfect. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the MC boomed, the moment you've all been waiting for, Layla and Tyler's wedding cake. The crowd erupted in applause. Phones lifted. Guests leaned forward with performative excitement. Layla's eyes widened, her hands clasped like a little girl on Christmas morning. The lights dimmed. Romantic music started playing, some dreamy acoustic cover of Can't Help Falling in Love. Then the fog began. Actual fog. Dry ice hissed from behind the doors as 2 servers in tuxedos wheeled out a massive 3-tiered cake, gold filigree, ivory roses, the initials L and T embossed in sugar pearls. Gasps. Applause. A few ohs. Even Tyler looked impressed. Layla was glowing. The cake rolled to center stage. Spotlights hit it. The MC grinned. "Let's hear it for this masterpiece." Layla took Tyler's hand, stepped forward with her perfect knife, and just as she reached for the first cut, crack. The middle tier of the cake split. Boom. The top collapsed sideways. And then, pop. From inside the cake exploded a figure. A clown. Not just any clown. A clown in a wedding dress. Full veil. Red nose. White gloves. Lipstick smeared into a smile too wide. On her chest, a laminated sign. Miss Perfect. The room went silent. Then, boing, two plastic yellow chickens on springs launched from either side of the cake, flapping in midair like rubber nightmares. The clown stood tall, arms wide like she was on Broadway, then bowed deep. Then released a burst of white feathers into the air from her bouquet. A cake bouquet with a pink ribbon that read, Bridezilla Special. Layla's mouth hung open like a broken hinge. The clown took a mic from somewhere deep in the cake. Of course she had a mic. And spoke in the sweetest voice imaginable. Special delivery for the bride. The show must go on. Laughter burst out. Some guests screamed. Others clapped instinctively, thinking it was a stunt. Someone yelled, I asked this part of it. Layla didn't move. Tyler stepped back. What is this? My mom rushed toward the clown. Get out of here. This is a wedding, not a circus. The clown waved cheerfully. Oh, honey, this is the circus. You're just late to the tent. Then she turned to Layla, bowed again, and whispered, loud enough for the front row to hear. You ordered perfection. We brought the reflection. Layla broke. Screamed. Get her out of here. This isn't funny. Who did this? But the clown had already started moonwalking toward the exit. As she reached the back, she turned, winked at the nearest phone camera, and said with a giant grin, Bye, Layla. You're the star now. Then vanished through the fog. And somewhere, on the internet, a hashtag was born. Hashtag clowncake. Trending by midnight. I didn't even have to turn on the news. Caroline showed me everything from the guest's live stream. The moment the clown popped out, Caroline nearly choked on her wine. When the chickens flew, she fell off the couch. And when the feathers hit the ceiling, she wiped a tear and whispered, You're an absolute artist. I raised my glass and toasted the screen. Happy wedding day, Layla. The day after the wedding was silent. Too silent. I woke up to the light hitting my face just right and the aroma of coffee drifting in from the kitchen. For a moment, it felt like any other Sunday. Until I checked my phone. 143 missed calls. Group chats renamed to things like, This isn't funny. You went too far. You're dead to us. There were voicemails from my mom. From Layla. From relatives I hadn't heard from in years. And then, there were the texts. How could you do this to your own sister? That cruel prank of yours wrecked everything. You humiliated our entire family. Mom's crying. Layla's not eating. Hope you're happy now, clown boy. I scrolled, sipping my coffee. Caroline walked in, robe tied loose, still half asleep. Anything fun this morning? I handed her the phone. She read 3 texts, then passed it back. Wow, she said. You really broke them. That afternoon, there was a knock on our door. Not timid. Not polite. Aggressive. I opened it to find my mother standing there, wearing sunglasses like a celebrity trying to avoid paparazzi, and behind her, my dad, who looked like he hadn't slept. I said nothing. We need to talk, she snapped, pushing past me into the house. Dad followed, sighing deeply like he already regretted everything. Caroline stayed in the kitchen. She knew better than to get involved. My mom stood in the middle of the living room, turned to me, and hissed. You ruined your sister's wedding. She ruined my marriage first, I said evenly, and tried to pretend it didn't count. Don't be dramatic, she scoffed. It was just one message. One message that said, don't bring your wife. Silence. You humiliated her in front of 200 people. There was a clown. Yes, I said. There was. She hasn't left her room in 24 hours, Dad added, as if that meant anything to me. She might be traumatized, Mom said. There are videos of it everywhere. Oh, I've seen them, I said. People seem to really enjoy the chicken launch. Mom's eyes narrowed. You think this is funny? I think it's poetic. She lost it. You're a bitter, resentful little boy who can't stand seeing his sister happy. I stood. And you're a mother who trained her daughter to believe that love means control, and that money means silence. Dad stepped forward. That's enough. No, I said. We're just getting started. They tried to cut me off, but I kept going. All my life, I've paid. Quietly. Because that's what you raised me to do. Shut up and be useful. I watched Layla tear down everything I cared about, and you said nothing. You just smiled and called it family. My voice was steady, ice cold. Now it's my turn to smile. Mom looked like she might scream. Instead, she turned on her heel. You're no longer part of this family. She stormed out. Dad hesitated. Looked at me. I didn't know about the message, he said quietly. But you didn't stop it either, I replied. He nodded once and followed her out. Door closed. Silence again. By Monday, the wedding clown video had 2.3 million views on TikTok. By Tuesday, there were remixes. By Wednesday, BuzzFeed ran a piece. Bride gets clowned at own wedding, literally. Layla disabled all her accounts. Tyler moved out of the honeymoon suite early. Some said he went to stay with his cousin. Others claimed he left the city entirely. I didn't care. I was finally sleeping again. The twist came on Friday. I was out running errands when Caroline called me. "Babe," she said, voice low. "You need to come home. Now." I rushed back. She was in the kitchen, holding a manila envelope. This came, hand-delivered. No return address. I opened it. Inside was a single piece of paper, printed in bold. "You thought you were the only one she used." Attached with a paperclip, a USB drive. I plugged it into my laptop. It contained one folder. Inside, screenshots, bank transfers, text messages, audio recordings, all between Layla and our cousin Jordan. Turns out, my clown cake was not the only performance she starred in. She had 2 weddings planned. Mine, the public one. Jordan, the secret. He'd been funding her second life for nearly 6 months. Their last conversation? The night before the wedding. "Layla, don't worry, baby. This is just optics. I just need that ring for the prenup. Once I've got that, it's over." "Jordan, you swear?" "Layla, you think I'd ever love someone like Tyler?" I sat back in the chair. Caroline stared at the screen, then looked at me. "Do we send this to Tyler?" I didn't answer at first. Then I smiled. "No," I said. "We deliver it." With a bow. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was anxious. Not because I felt guilty. But because I had never felt so awake. I sat at my desk, the USB drive still plugged into the laptop, the folder of screenshots and text logs open in front of me. The words echoed in my head like a war drum. "You thought you were the only one she used?" Layla. Of course it was Layla. If anyone could cheat on the truth itself, it was her. She didn't just take my money. She took his. Jordan. Our cousin. Another fool with a savior complex and a bank account just big enough to fund Layla's alternate wedding. The messages made it clear. She'd played him for months. Told him the public ceremony was optics. Told him she was just going through the motions, and promised she'd end it after she got the ring and prenup. She married Tyler, but she loved his money, and ruined things with Jordan. The sun was rising when I got up. I made coffee, toasted a bagel. Caroline came down the stairs in an oversized t-shirt and gave me a sleepy kiss on the cheek. "You look terrifyingly calm," she said. "I feel fantastic. You're glowing." Like a villain mid-monologue. I handed her the stack of printed files. She read 3 pages, looked up, and whispered, "Oh my God. We're not mailing it." I said, "We're delivering it." Tyler wasn't at his apartment. He hadn't been back since the wedding. But my cousin Brian said he'd seen him at the gym. We pulled into the lot, and sure enough, there he was, punching a heavy bag like it had ruined his childhood. I called his name once. He turned, face drenched in sweat, eyes bloodshot. His entire body froze when he saw us. He walked toward us like a man approaching a firing squad. "If you came to gloat," he said, "get in line." I didn't say a word, just handed him the red folder. He frowned and opened it. At first, his eyes flicked over the pages. Then they stopped, slowed, widened. He turned the page. Another. Then the photo. Layla, in Jordan's apartment. Her leg half bare, wine glass in hand. His hands started to shake. She told me she needed a stable future. "No," I said. "She needed a funding plan." He sat down on a bench, folder in lap, and covered his face with one hand. She said I was the first man she ever really trusted. I sat next to him. "She says that to whichever man signs the checks." He didn't cry. I could tell he wanted to. But he didn't. Instead, he whispered, "She's a black hole. She eats good things and spits out lies." I nodded. "She almost got all of us." He looked at me and said something I didn't expect. "Thank you." We shook hands, and I walked away. That night, I turned off my phone. Caroline and I made pasta. We opened a bottle of wine we'd been saving since last year. We laughed, and we let the world burn without us. By morning, Bridezilla Clown Cake had passed 4 million views. Clips were being used in memes. Someone auto-tuned the clown's line, "You ordered perfection, we brought the reflection," into a song. It hit Spotify top viral. Layla had vanished from social media. Jordan deleted his entire account. But the internet remembers. Screenshots, hashtags, reaction videos. She became a cautionary tale. For days later, my parents called. I didn't answer. Then came the email. Whatever was between you and Layla, you took it too far. You've disgraced this family. I replied with one sentence. I didn't disgrace this family. I documented it. Blocked. Simple. Done. A week passed. Then, a letter. No return address. Inside, a crumpled thank you card, written in Layla's handwriting. The words looked like they'd been scratched out of her soul. You were always better than me. That's why I hated you. You never wanted anything from anyone. You just wanted to be left alone. And we couldn't even give you that. You won. I hope it was worth it. I read it once. Then again. Caroline walked in and saw me holding it. Is it an apology? She asked. No, I said. It's a confession. But not the kind that heals anything. I didn't respond. I framed it instead. Hung it in my office. Not out of pride, but as a reminder. Never again. No? It's been 2 months. Caroline and I are flying to Portugal next week. Our first real vacation. No obligations. No fake invitations. No sister begging for handouts. I changed my number. Deleted the family chat. Started therapy. And something strange happened. People, distant relatives, even old high school friends, started messaging me privately. I wish I had the guts to do what you did. You were right to walk away. That clown cake was iconic. It became more than a moment. It became a line in the sand. A declaration. No more. No more pretending. No more funding dysfunction. No more carrying people who spit in your face when your wallet runs dry. Caroline and I toast to it every Friday now. She raises her glass and says, to Miss Perfect. And I add, long may she be off the throne. We drink. We laugh. We live. And we never look back.